Alright, sorry about that, guys. What is going on? Joel here. Welcome to Back in the Day, and it's been a while, like a good long freaking while since I've done a video. Geez. Christmas-ish, I think, was the last time. Want you guys to say hello to my buddy Chris here. This is one of my oldest, dearest friends. I've mentioned him a few times on the channel, talking about gaming, like growing up. Currently, we are in Waterloo, New York, and it was funny, man. Like yesterday, we went to D&M's grocery, wanted to try to do a video, and actually, Sean, this is for you, dude. Like that clip that I sent you of, you know, like places where we used to rent games as kids and stuff, man. Dude, you got to get your ass in gear and get that stuff uploaded, because I was gonna try to do it yesterday. Timing just was not right. So I'm here in Waterloo. Chris and I are just gonna hang out, and I figured, you know, let's do a video, and like him and I are gonna just share some gaming memories. I brought some of the old stuff down, and just gonna talk a little bit about like the memories we had with these games. And I think it's a really cool, a cool thing to be able to like share these memories with somebody that you game with from your childhood. So that's, without further ado, man, let's go ahead and we'll jump into one that I remember playing a hell of a lot with you. It was Mickey Mouse Capades, man. Like,
absolutely.
Like, you were Disney through and through.
Yeah. So what I do is I draw. And my big thing when I was a kid is I wanted to work for Disney, so I had this obsession with Mickey Mouse and all that stuff. So they came out with a Mickey Mouse game, so I had to have it. The game obviously was pretty corny, but it was fun playing it. The biggest thing I remember about the game is the way to beat the game is to get the fairy at the end and then just run into the evil queen and you beat the game, and that was it. You didn't have to actually fight her.
You know, it's funny because like the experience that I had with this game was literally just being at your house, which, you know, that old house on Hecker Road we went past, which was, you know, it was the memories of that. And it's funny because we were talking about this last night. Obviously, too, I remember the first time going over to your house, it was because you were the only person I knew of that had the original Turtles. And, like, I've always said, like, we can look back on this game, and it really, in reality, it was a bad game. It was not good, but the memories, like, we had such fond memories with it, and at the time, we were like, amazed. It was awesome, it's a Turtles game. Even though half of the enemies that were in there that you fought, like, just on a normal basis weren't even in the show.
Yeah.
But, yeah, what do you remember about this game the most?
Like, the hardest Nintendo game ever.
Right.
Especially that level where you're swimming through the electric coral or whatever it was. And graphics just horrible.
See, I never thought the graphics were really that bad. I thought, though, like, just some of the concept within the game itself, though, because, like, remember, like, so, like, after the swimming, then you went, it was almost like that airfield that you were on. And then after that, you literally, like, you actually had to fight the outside of the Technodrome before you went in the Technodrome. Yeah. Like, it was so weird. But, yeah, that was one of the things, one of the, you know, the two games that I remember from, like, growing up, like, that you actually had. And then we were talking about this one last night, too, because even though your dad wasn't a huge gamer, your dad loved Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And I remember coming over, and I remember actually kind of wanting to play it, but you were like, I think this game you could only have one actual save slot going at once, I think.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but I remember, like, your dad actually beat this, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was never into those games back then.
You know, yeah, like, I never was. I know, like, Mike Keebler was really big into the RPGs. And the only two that I ever got into were, like, Final Fantasy II, and then, like we've talked about, because this was one that we both got through the Nintendo Power subscription.
Yeah, I was so excited for that. I still remember the commercials. That goofy guy was flying on the dragon, swinging the sword around. And then, like, my parents didn't say yes to my dad didn't say yes to a lot of things like that back then. And then he was just like, I showed him the thing I got in the mail, and said, if you get a free game if you sign up for Nintendo Power for a whole year. And he said yes to it. I couldn't believe it. And then I got the game, and I was just like, I don't even like this game.
You know, it's funny, like, because when I got my subscription to Nintendo Power, I honestly don't even remember them offering it at the time. I remember getting Nintendo Power, and then it was like, I think a month later, this came in the mail, and I was like, oh my gosh, somebody sent me a Nintendo game. And then later on, you realize that was actually what it was from. Yeah. But Another game that I know that you and I had a lot of fun with, because actually I remember was DuckTales. I remember when we were sitting in study hall in 6th grade. I had just got this, and you were sitting in front of me, and remember I brought the instruction manual, and you drew like the whole thing, like during study hall.
Yeah, that was one of my all-time favorite Nintendo games. That was really fun. They stuck to the cartoon pretty well.
You know, and it's funny because like if you look back at a lot of the old like original NES games, I think a lot of them like they really haven't aged very well. But like some of them, like this for example, like this still holds up. Like you can plug this one in and it's still fun today.
Yeah.
But yeah, Capcom and Disney, like most of the like what other Disney games did you play other than like DuckTales and Mousecapades and I think Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers?
Oh, there was Darkwing Duck. There was a Tailspin game that was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, that was like a shooter.
Like, you were like, it was like a little airplane with a big blue head sticking out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I played that for like 10 minutes.
And then like obviously last night, okay, we were kind of like. Last night we kind of spent just kind of retelling old stories from our childhood and you know from the years from like 1989 clear up to 99. But we were kind of going through like the first time that I ever went over to his house, and I brought all my games over, which at the time was I think it was like 4 or 5 of them. But I remember, obviously, like Mario 2 was one that a lot of people played, and a lot of people had. I remember us playing this one a little bit. It was weird, obviously, because it's not a 2-player Mario game, but we had a lot of fun with it, regardless. But like I said. And Chris had actually forgot about this, so like I brought Zelda 2 over, and Chris was like, "Oh, hey, let's play this." And I was really weird about it, and I'm like, "No, man, nobody plays that game." And like without like hesitation, his dad from the other room was like, "Well, then why'd you bring it then?"
That's what I did.
Yeah. But obviously moving on too, man. Like, do you remember this? When we were in 6th grade, this was the game to have.
Yeah.
This was the most anticipated game. I remember the time that we were in study hall, and at the time, like obviously, like growing up, yeah, we were friends, but like you bickered back and forth over dumb things, and it was what you said. What was the one where First Dragon is discount video?
Yeah. No.
Or video Magic. Okay. Yeah. There was this video rental place like right on the corner of 5 and 20 here in Waterloo. It's called Video Magic. It was like the place that other than D&M's that you would go and rent video games. And at the time, when they got this in, you could never find it. I remember you going in and you were like, yeah, I went in and they had it. And I was like, why didn't you rent it then? Well, I didn't have any money, and I went home and got money. By the time you went back, it was gone. Yeah. But I remember renting this from there, actually. I remember I got it on a Sunday, because you remember back in the day, you could call and you could reserve a game.
Yep.
And they reserved it for me, and finally, like, 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon, it came in, and I was only able to play for like 3 hours before I had to go to bed and get ready for school the next day. But like, what do you remember the most about this game?
It was on the Wizard.
Oh yeah,
you can't leave that out.
No, and that was where we first learned about the first warp whistle.
Yep. Yeah, in that movie, the movie just came, according to the movie. The game had just come out. Yeah, and all of a sudden the girl knew about the whistle. Oh, don't forget the whistle. Like,
yeah.
Wait a minute, what?
Yeah. Which I think it was actually released in Japan. I think almost the year prior to its U.S. release.
I don't know.
I don't know. I remember first actually seeing like the first screenshot of it. It was like I had this Game Player's guide. It was like the Game Player strategy guide or something. It was like a knockoff Nintendo Power. And there was like it was a screenshot of Mario with like as the raccoon with a raccoon tail.
Yeah.
And I remember that dolt Mike Clark. The kid lied about everything. He was like, "Oh yeah, the storyline is Mario and Luigi are turned into cats." Like what? Yeah, we grew up around some less than stellar people. Here's your favorite character.
Yep. Just not on the cover.
No. Mega Man 2 was always my favorite.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like Mega Man 1. Because, I mean, I don't think I played Mega Man 1 until... years later.
See,
I started with Mega Man 2.
Yeah, I think most of us started with Mega Man 2, and I remember renting this shortly thereafter. And, like, this was wickedly hard. And it's very different, because this one actually goes by like it keeps tab of your points,
Yeah.
whereas all the other ones don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, hold on, you gotta make another note of it. All the Mega Man games. The games are really fun, that cute little cartoony guy, but the box art just absolutely
That is,
horrible.
that's the one thing everybody talks about is the box
Absolutely
art.
horrible.
Now, later on in the series, like, number 2 wasn't as bad, but, like, as it progressed, like, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they got better. Like, more accurate, too.
Yeah.
So... And the one everybody played. This is still one of the best pick up and play games.
Yeah. Again, one of the hardest games.
If you use the 30 live code, you're
up,
good.
down,
yeah.
left, right.
Yeah, the infamous Konami code. This one I don't really remember playing with you, but this was a game though that everybody played.
Yeah.
So I figured that's why I'd grab it and throw it into the mix. And then obviously the game that we always thought we should have got was the Turtles 2. You had this one too, didn't you?
I don't think so, no. No, but the original arcade game, the actual stand-up arcade game,
yeah.
that was... I know we're talking about NES games, but I just have to say, I remember my dad took me and my brother to the Auburn Mall to see the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, after the movie was over, like, we didn't even know that this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game existed. And then, after the movie was over, we're like, hey, Dad, can we stop at the arcade? And he was like, sure. So as soon as we walk in, it's sitting there with, like, spotlights on it. That's what it seemed like. It was just like, oh my God, what is that? And then, like, it was the first time we ever saw this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. And then all of a sudden it was everywhere.
See, and I don't remember the first time. I think it was actually a timeout there at the Auburn Mall. It was the first time. I don't remember the first time I ever played it, but I do remember being really stoked for when this came out. And I myself, like, I wasn't bright enough to really differentiate between the NES graphics and the arcade graphics. Like, I kind of could, but I remember like going, wow, this is incredible. It's like the arcade, which obviously in reality, like, it's not, but it was the next best thing. Stupid puzzle games we all had, Tetris and, Dr. Mario. I think you played Dr. Mario over at my house a couple of times.
Yeah. Frustrating games.
Yeah, games that I never really got into. Like I remember like seeing the commercial for Dr. Mario and being like, oh wow, that looks so cool.
Yep.
And was a far cry. And then everybody had Tetris. That was just kind of one of those, like, if you had a grandparent that knew you had a Nintendo, it was like one of those games they'd get you.
Yep.
Even though mine never did. And then honestly, dude, then we get into the next gen, which I only have like a handful that we ever played, because as Chris and I got older, like video games kind of took a back seat. It became more about driving around and cruising and trying to find chicks.
Yeah.
But the one, like, I was telling the story, like, with Vegas Stakes, was very much like one of the few games that, like, his dad would play. I remember, like, bringing the Super Nintendo over to his house, and I remember we were out, like, playing basketball, and we come in, and your dad, like, was playing the Super Nintendo. He was playing Vegas Stakes. I remember he was doing really well, too. I remember he enjoyed the whole gambling thing. Like, that was his, but I remember you and I playing, actually, like, Turtles in Time.
Yeah.
This game's fantastic.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, this was one I remember us playing a lot of.
Prehistoric Turtlesaurus.
Yeah. Alley Cat Blues. We played a lot of Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
This game is the bomb. I freaking love this game.
Got a lot of hours on that game.
Yeah. I remember after I got... Actually, the funny story with me with this is I remember... Wegmans, like the summer of '92, that was where I started renting a lot of my video games that summer, because they were like, it was like $1. It was so cheap. And I remember like Mom taking me over with, it was with Kirk Pearson, and we both went in, I was going to rent a game, and they were just like literally unpacking these, and they were getting them ready for rental, but they weren't ready yet. It wasn't going to be until like a few hours later. So like, I lied and I said I didn't bring my little membership card, and Mom was like, "Oh, all right." So we drove the whole way back to Waterloo, and then later on, when Dad got home from work, he drove me over so I could get it. And I was like Yes, and I spent all weekend playing this.
Yeah.
And like so much so that this was a game that I actually asked for. I got for Christmas in '92.
Yeah.
What was funny though is like how you like we did kind of split though in terms of like you were more of a Sega Genesis guy though.
Yeah.
Like you were because and obviously why?
Because of the Disney game.
Exactly, the Aladdin game. Because I remember you were like, yeah, man, that was like made by Disney artists.
Aladdin and Lion King.
Yeah. And then obviously the last was Super Mario World, which like this game still holds up to this day as one of the best, in my opinion, the best Mario game ever made. For me, anyways.
Yeah, I love that game. Yeah, I played it recently on the Switch when you downloaded all the things, and
Yeah.
first time I beat it.
I thought you beat it before that.
I don't think I ever got a chance to play through it.
There were a lot of games though with the Switch, that Switch Online that you had like you finally went through and played, but had never had the opportunity to play. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I'm sorry if it's not like that exciting of a video, guys, but you know I wanted to just kind of take a trip down memory lane with my boy here, and I hope you guys had fun with it. I know I had fun with it, Chris.
Yeah, definitely.
I kind of wish I'd been able to do the one like with us going into D&M, you know, to kind of showcase like, hey, this is where we used to rent games, and kind of go through like, hey, these are the games that I used to rent here and stuff like that. But it didn't come to fruition. So Sean, like, this is for you, dude. You've got to get that video uploaded. Like I sent you that 2.5 years ago. Come on, man. So with that being said, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching. Make sure to smash that like button if you like the video. Subscribe if you're new to my channel. Other than that, you guys take her easy.